We love the image of the lone genius. We picture Isaac Newton sitting alone under a tree when the apple falls. We picture Albert Einstein sitting alone in a patent office in Bern, dreaming up the theory of relativity. But history is rarely a solo act. It almost always is a duet, and often one voice in that duet is silenced by the history books. So I want to talk about the woman in the shadows. Specifically, I want to talk about the most controversial footnote in the history of physics, Mileva Maric. Now, most people know Einstein and that he had a wife. A few know who she was. So Mileva Maric wasn't just a supportive spouse. She was a brilliant physicist and mathematician. She was the only woman in Einstein's section at the Zurich Polytechnic. She scored higher than him in applied physics, and during their courtship they exchanged hundreds of letters, and the language Einstein uses is, well, revealing. He doesn't say my work, he repeatedly says our work. In 1901 he wrote to her, "How happy and proud I will be, and the two of us together, when our work on relative motion is brought to a victorious conclusion." So when Einstein publishes his miracle paper in 1905, paper that changed the universe, Mileva told a friend, "We finished some important work that will make my husband world famous." Yet, when the Nobel Prize came, only one name was on the ticket. Mileva was erased. She died in obscurity, while Einstein became the face of the 20th century. Now, this isn't an isolated incident. This is a pattern of shadow partnerships. Look at Vladimir Nabokov, the author of Lolita. He didn't just write, he dictated. His wife Vera sat at the typewriter for hours, debating every word, editing his drafts, and managing his entire literary estate. She was his first reader, his agent, his driver, and his bodyguard. She carried a pistol in her purse. Critics now argue that Lolita is as much Vera's book as it is Vladimir's. Look at Salvador Dalí. Without Gala, Dalí was a shy, eccentric artist who couldn't tie his own shoes. Gala was the shock. She negotiated the deals. She organized the exhibitions. She kept him sane enough to paint, but crazy enough to sell. So Dalí signed his best paintings, Gala Salvador Dalí. He knew the truth. The art was a product of the unit, not the man. And that brings us to a quote often attributed to Sheryl Sandberg or even Warren Buffett. "The most important career decision you will make is who you marry." And we tend to think of marriage as romance and business as strategy, but if you are building something great, a company, a theory, a legacy, your partner is your co-founder. They are the person who manages your psychology. They are the person who edits your blind spots. They are the person who absorbs the entropy of life so you can focus on the signal. In the case of Einstein, Mileva provided the mathematical rigor and the sounding board he desperately needed in his early years. She was the intellectual anchor that kept his wild theories grounded. And when they separated, Einstein's output changed. He never had another year like 1905. So what is the lesson here? It isn't just give women credit, though we absolutely must, of course. It is to understand the physics of partnership. A great partnership is symbiotic. It is anti-fragile. One partner might be the star, the face, the energy, and the other might be the shadow, the strategy, the discipline. The shadow allows the star to shine without burning out. The star allows the shadow to influence the world without being consumed by it. Mileva Maric was the shadow that allowed the star of relativity to be born. Vera Nabokov was the shadow that allowed Lolita to be written. So if you are looking for success, stop looking for a mirror. Stop looking for someone who just applauds you. Look for a partner. Look for someone who challenges your math. Look for someone who edits your life, because the lone genius is a myth. Behind every great leap in human history, there is usually a conversation happening in a room that no one else can see. Don't ignore the person in the shadows. They are often holding the light. Thanks for watching.